The galaxy was vast, filled with billions of stars and countless worlds, yet fear could spread across it faster than light. Fear had a name, and that name was the Zorath Empire. For centuries, the Zorath had expanded from their dark homeworld, swallowing systems and bending civilizations to their will. They were not the largest in number, nor the most intelligent, but they carried an endless hunger for control. Every world that stood in their way was either destroyed or forced into obedience. At first, the smaller races thought they could hide. Tiny colonies buried in nebula clouds, mining stations near black holes or planets tucked behind unstable stars. All hoped the Zorath would pass them by. But the Empire always found them. It seemed nothing in the galaxy could stop their march. The coalition of stars, a gathering of dozens of alien species, had tried to resist. They formed fleets, shared technology, and created councils to plan defense. Yet every time they united, the Zorath broke them apart. Their fleets were smashed, their homeworlds burned, their leaders silenced. Hope, once strong, now weakened like an old flame. In the central hall of the coalition capital, a vast city built on the moon of HFY, leaders of many worlds gathered. The chamber was large enough to hold 1,000 beings of all shapes: tall insectoid scholars from Codex, scaled warriors from Trakkar, feathered diplomats from Nyloria, and more. They sat in silence, broken by despair. High Elder Valen, an old being whose people once lived among the shining rings of Taloris, spoke with a trembling voice. "Our fleets are gone. Our defenses are broken. The Zorath advance without pause. If nothing changes, our worlds will be ashes before the next star cycle ends." The room filled with soft murmurs of fear. No one wanted to hear the truth, yet all knew it. From the shadows of the chamber, a young delegate named Sari of Nyloria stood. Her feathers, usually bright blue, were dulled with exhaustion. "There is still one path," she said. Her voice was steady, though her heart shook. "We must send a signal beyond the known reaches. We must call for aid." The council stirred uneasily. "Call for aid?" A Trakkarian general hissed, his scaled jaw tightening. "From who?" "The ancient powers do not answer." The Archon vanished into their star cities. The Velar disappeared beyond the galactic rim. "Who remains that could challenge the Zorath?" "Perhaps someone," Sari said. "Perhaps something we have not yet seen. The galaxy is wide. We are not alone in its depths. Somewhere out there must be a force that can stand against them." Many scoffed, but Elder Valen raised a frail hand. "And if there is nothing?" "Then we die anyway," Sari whispered. The chamber grew silent. The truth was bitter yet undeniable. If they did nothing, the coalition would fall. If they tried, they might find hope. Finally, the council voted. By narrow choice, they approved the creation of a distress signal, one that would carry across the spiral arm, farther than any normal call for help. Scientists worked without rest, building a beacon at the edge of HFY's orbit. It pulsed with powerful energy, carrying a simple message. "We are the coalition of stars. We face extinction by the Zorath Empire. We ask for aid from any who hear this. Save us and you save freedom itself." The signal was sent into the void. It crossed light years, slipping between star systems, bouncing past pulsars, diving through nebulae. It moved for weeks, then months, leaving the coalition to wait in silence. Every day the Zorath drew closer. Every week more worlds were lost. The beacon was their last prayer. Far away, at the edge of a spiral arm, there was a small star system. Its sun was golden, its third planet blue and green. This world was called Earth. For most of galactic history, Earth was invisible. Its people were young compared to the elder races. They had only begun exploring space a short time ago, at least by cosmic measure. Yet in that short time, humanity had changed much. They had walked on their own moon, sent machines to the edges of their star system, and built ships that could pierce the void. Wars on Earth had ended, replaced by a fragile unity forged from the lessons of a bloody past. Unlike other civilizations, humanity had chosen to stay quiet. Their leaders had discovered traces of other species long ago, ruins on asteroids, signals drifting in space, fragments of lost travelers. But instead of reaching out, they watched. They learned. They built, and they waited. When the coalition's distress signal reached Earth, it shook the halls of every government. The message was decoded by satellites orbiting Mars, then sent to command centers across the planet. Leaders, generals, and scientists gathered to hear the words. "They are asking for aid," said Admiral Jonathan Hale, his voice steady but eyes wide. An entire union of alien species begging for help against something called the Zorath. Some leaders were moved. Others were afraid. Why should we interfere? One asked. We have only just secured peace on Earth. Do we risk it all for strangers? Because if the Zorath conquer them, replied Hale, they will not stop. One day they will come here. And when they do, we will stand alone. Better to face them now with allies than later with none. Debates raged across Earth's nations. Some wanted to remain hidden, to pretend they never heard the call. Others argued that humanity had a duty, not only to protect itself but to protect others. In the end, the choice came not from fear but from memory. Humanity remembered its own history, times when it had faced impossible odds, times when empires rose and fell, times when unity and courage changed destiny. Earth decided to answer. Preparations began at once. Shipyards in orbit around Earth and Luna activated at full speed. Massive vessels, once only prototypes, were completed. Crews were trained in secret bases scattered across Mars and the outer moons. Technologies never before revealed to outsiders were prepared. Railguns that could fire projectiles at near-light speed. Stealth fields that could hide entire fleets. And AI systems that could predict battle moves with uncanny precision. But the greatest weapon was not technology. It was the spirit of humanity itself. From across Earth, volunteers rose. Soldiers who had fought in past wars, scientists who dreamed of new horizons, and ordinary men and women who believed in something greater than themselves. They joined together, not under one flag, but under the banner of humanity. The decision was made. Earth would send a fleet. Not the largest, not the most advanced compared to the legends of the galaxy, but a fleet built with heart, creativity, and stubborn determination. For the first time, humanity prepared to step onto the galactic stage, not as explorers, but as defenders. And somewhere far away, the coalition of stars still waited, praying for a savior. They did not know who would answer, nor what form aid would take. They expected gods or ancient powers. What they would receive was something entirely different. What they would receive was humanity. Word count, 1310. Would you like me to continue with part 2, 1300 words, in the same detailed third-person style so the story flows smoothly? You said, ChatGPT said, perfect. Let's continue with part 2 of your HFY story They Called for Aid, but what arrived shook the galaxy. This section will be 300 words written in third-person style, with simple basic English, engaging flow, and no violated content. Part 2, Humanity Answers. The distress call from the coalition of stars did not vanish into silence. It spread across Earth like fire in dry grass. News agencies on every continent broadcast the decoded message. Scientists analyzed it frame by frame, proving that the signal was real, that intelligent life beyond Earth was not only possible but calling for help. For the first time in human history, the people of Earth looked into the stars and heard a voice asking them to join. At first, there was disbelief. Some thought it was a trick, perhaps a false signal or an attempt by a hidden enemy on Earth to cause panic. But evidence mounted quickly. The message carried mathematics beyond Earth's natural radio background. It spoke of alien names, places, and fleets. It showed brief images of different beings gathered in a council chamber, faces filled with fear and hope. Humanity could not deny it. On Earth, governments met in secret chambers. The United Earth Assembly, a council created to handle matters that concerned the entire world, became the center of debate. Leaders from every nation joined. Military commanders, scientists, philosophers, and ordinary citizens chosen to represent humanity's voice filled the grand chamber built in Geneva. Admiral Jonathan Hale, tall and gray-haired, stood at the front. He had spent his life studying strategy, though until now his enemies had always been human. The message is clear, he said. The coalition is being destroyed by the Zorath Empire. They beg for help. If they fall, we must understand that the Zorath will not stop. They will expand. And when they reach this arm of the galaxy, they will find us. Some shook their heads. A diplomat from South America raised her voice. Admiral, we do not know these aliens. They might be lying. They might be trying to trick us into fighting their war. A scientist, Dr. Kamala Singh, adjusted her glasses. I have studied the signal. It is not false. The language patterns, the energy signature, the distance it traveled, all confirm it is genuine. These beings are real. Their desperation is real. Still, hesitation lingered. Many feared leaving the safety of Earth. Humanity had fought so hard to build peace. The stars of the Altheris sector burned quietly, their light reaching across empty space. Yet in the dark between those suns, war gathered. The Zorath Empire had arrived, their fleet stretching like a wall of steel and fire. They came to crush another coalition world, a green planet named Vera, home to billions of gentle beings who had never known war until the Zorath came. The coalition scrambled to defend the planet. Their remaining ships hovered above Vera, shields trembling, weapons humming weakly. They had fought many battles and lost most of them. Their commanders stood at their stations with tired eyes. They did not expect victory. At best, they hoped to delay the Zorath long enough for civilians to flee. In the council chamber aboard the flagship Altheris Dawn, Elder Valen watched the approaching storm. His hands shook on his staff. "We cannot hold them," he whispered. Around him, the officers remained silent. They all knew it. Then alarm sounded. A message echoed across the comms. "Unidentified fleet entering system." The coalition commanders froze. The Zorath laughed over their channels. Another prey had wandered into the trap, they thought. But when the new fleet emerged from the wormhole, it was nothing they expected. The ships were unfamiliar, sharp, angular, painted with strange symbols. They were fewer than the Zorath, smaller than the massive dreadnoughts of the Empire, yet they moved with discipline, spreading into precise formations. A voice spoke across open frequencies, clear and firm. "This is Admiral Jonathan Hale of the United Earth Fleet. We are here to stand with the coalition. Vera will not fall today." For a heartbeat, silence filled the stars. Then coalition officers gasped. The strangers had answered. The aid they had prayed for had come. But the Zorath only laughed harder. "Pathetic," growled a Zorath warlord from his command throne. "Look at them. Fragile ships, weak numbers. They believe they can defy us?" He raised a claw. "Crush them." The first clash began like thunder. Zorath warships roared forward, their beams slicing through the dark. Coalition ships tried to resist but were forced back almost instantly. Their shields cracked under the heavy fire. Then humanity moved. Captain Elias Ward stood on the bridge of the destroyer UNS Resolute, eyes locked on the tactical display. "Bring us into the asteroid belt," he ordered. His crew hesitated. No one fought in asteroid fields. The risks were too high, but Ward was calm. "Do it. Follow my lead." The human destroyers darted into the belt, weaving between tumbling rocks. The Zorath pursued, confident in their firepower, but inside the chaos of spinning stone, human ships vanished, their stealth systems activated, their signatures hidden. The Zorath fired blindly, their blasts striking only empty rock. "Now," Ward commanded. Railguns thundered. From the shadows of the asteroids, metal slugs flew at near light speed, slamming into Zorath hulls. Their shields, designed for plasma and beam weapons, buckled under the sheer kinetic force. 1, 2, 3 Zorath ships exploded in flames before they realized what was happening. The galaxy had never seen such tactics. Elsewhere, the UNS Valor led the main assault. Admiral Hale stood tall as fighters launched from the carrier's bays. Swarms of human craft darted like hornets, weaving through enemy fire, striking weak points with precision missiles. Coalition commanders, watching from their battered ships, could hardly believe it. These humans were not just fighting, they were changing the rhythm of battle itself. Where the Zorath expected brute force, the humans gave speed. Where the Zorath relied on numbers, the humans used surprise. Still, the Zorath were not weak. Their dreadnoughts turned with fury, unleashing storms of plasma. One human frigate was caught, its shields melting under the blast. It tore apart in fire, and Hale's jaw tightened. Humanity had entered the war, and blood was already being paid. But retreat was never in his mind. "Bring the rail batteries to full power," Hale ordered. "Target their command ship." The UNS Valor shuddered as its weapons charged. With a thunderous flash, a massive slug tore across the void. It ripped through the Zorath flagship's shields, carving deep into its armored hull. The alien warlord inside roared with rage as his ship listed, smoke and flame pouring from its sides. For the first time, the Zorath knew pain. On the coalition flagship, Elder Valan's voice trembled as he spoke to his officers.
"Do you see it?"
"Do you see them? These humans. They fight as though fire burns in their very souls." The officers nodded, their despair turning slowly into hope. Sari of Nyloria, watching the human fleet weave through the chaos, whispered to herself, "They are not gods. They are not ancient. But perhaps they are something stronger." Hours passed as the battle raged. The Zorath pressed harder. pouring more ships into the fight. But the humans refused to break. They turned planets' gravity wells into weapons, slingshotting missiles around orbits to strike from unexpected angles. They dropped drones hidden in debris fields, creating illusions of larger fleets. Every time the Zorath thought they had victory, the humans turned the tide. Finally, as the sun of Vera dipped behind its horizon, the Zorath commander gave a furious order. "Withdraw. This world is not worth the blood." One by one, the Empire's ships pulled back, vanishing into the dark. The Coalition, battered but alive, stood in silence. Then cheers erupted. Across the fleets, across the world of Vera, voices rose. For the first time in decades, the Zorath had retreated. Humanity had done what no one thought possible. When the battle ended, the Coalition leaders invited the humans to a council on Vera's moon. Elder Valen spoke first, his old eyes wet. "Admiral Hale, Captain Ward, and all of humanity, you have given us more than victory. You have given us hope." Hale bowed his head. "We did not come to be praised. We came because no one should face extinction alone. Humanity knows what it is to stand against impossible odds. We will fight beside you." Some Coalition leaders were still cautious. A Tricarian general growled, "You are strong, yes, but you are few. Can you truly stand against the full Empire?" Hale's eyes burned. "We are human. We do not measure victory by size or number. We measure it by spirit, and in spirit we will not yield." The chamber fell silent. The words struck deep. Far away in the Zorath capital, the warlord who had survived the battle stood before the Empire's council. His body was scarred, his pride shattered. "They are not what we thought," he growled. "They are not ancient, but they are dangerous. They fight with madness. They fight with invention. They will not stop." The Zorath overlords hissed in anger. They had crushed countless species before. None had stood so fiercely. Now a new name spread through the Empire, spoken with both rage and fear: humanity. The galaxy had taken notice. The Coalition whispered with awe. The Zorath seethed with fury. And humanity, for the first time, stood revealed to the stars. The first clash was over, but the war had only begun. Word count: 1320. Would you like me to move on to part 4, 1300 words, next, showing how humanity's influence spreads through the Coalition and changes the course of the war? You said, ChatGPT said, perfect. Let's continue with part 4 of your HFY story, They Called for Aid. But what arrived shook the galaxy. This will be 300 words in third-person style. Simple English, engaging, and fully safe content. Part 4, The Turning Point. The galaxy was waking to a new reality. Humanity was no longer a distant planet at the edge of the spiral arm. They were here, alive and fighting. The first battle at Vera had proven that the Zorath Empire was not invincible. Word spread through Coalition fleets like a spark in dry grass. Where despair had ruled for decades, hope began to take root. Captain Elias Ward sat aboard the UNS Resolute, his crew still recovering from the first encounter. Men and women moved quietly, checking systems, repairing minor damage, and preparing for the next engagement. Ward studied the tactical maps. The Zorath would return stronger this time. But he was ready. "This is not the end," Ward said to his officers. "We've shown them our strength, but we've also learned their weaknesses. They rely on numbers and predictability. We will exploit both." Back on Vera, the Coalition leaders were meeting in urgency. Elder Valen, still pale from the shock of seeing humans fight, addressed them. "Do you see what they have done? They are not gods, but they fight with intelligence, courage, and creativity. They remind us of what we have forgotten." A Tricarian general, once cynical of hope, spoke softly. "Their tactics, they are unlike anything we have seen. They do not follow our rules of war. They use the terrain, the environment, even planets themselves as weapons. We can learn from them." Sari of Nyloria nodded. "If we adopt their methods, we may yet survive. If we follow blindly, we will perish." The Council quickly formed a plan. Humanity would not fight alone. Coalition fleets, inspired and taught by human commanders, began training in new ways. Humans showed them how to maneuver in asteroid fields, how to use gravitational forces to enhance weapon impact, and how to coordinate strikes across multiple systems with precision. In space, the Zorath were already moving. They had regrouped, replacing lost ships and commanding new warlords to finish what the first battle had begun. Their fleets advanced on Kryn, a vital Coalition world rich in energy resources. Kryn was poorly defended, yet it held strategic importance. Humanity arrived before the Z, The galaxy had never seen a battle like the one that was about to unfold. Billions of stars stretched across space, yet none shone as brightly as the fleets converging on the Zorath capital world, Vorin. It was a planet of jagged black mountains and violet oceans, a fortress surrounded by countless warships. The Zorath had gathered every vessel they could, ready to crush the humans and the Coalition once and for all. Admiral Jonathan Hale stood aboard the UNS Valor, the human flagship, and looked out at the endless sea of enemy ships. His face was calm, but his mind raced with calculations. Every fleet movement, every possible attack had been studied. Every human and Coalition crew member knew the risk. They were facing the largest armada in the known galaxy. Beside him, Captain Elias Ward checked the communications. Admiral, all strike teams are in position. The Coalition ships are ready. Civilians have been evacuated from nearby systems. The final assault is underway. Hale nodded. Then we begin. Humanity and the Coalition fight together today. Remember, we fight not for glory, not for conquest, but for freedom. The galaxy itself depends on us. The human fleet led the Coalition forward. Ships moved with precision, weaving through asteroid belts, gravity wells, and radiation storms. The Zorath opened fire, their massive plasma beams cutting through the void like rivers of fire. Yet the humans had learned from every previous battle. Deploy stealth drones, Ward ordered. Create multiple phantom fleets. Thousands of small drones shot into space, mimicking the signatures of large warships. The Zorath fired on these illusions, wasting energy, while the real fleets maneuvered behind them. Gravity fields of nearby moons were used as slingshots, sending missiles and railgun rounds on impossible arcs. It was not just technology that mattered, it was strategy, innovation, and courage. The human commanders constantly adapted, responding to the Zorath's attacks with creativity they could never have expected. On Vorin, the Zorath Emperor roared in anger. They are more than clever, they are reckless. Every move is unexpected, every attack unpredictable. Stop them, crush them before they reach the surface. The warlords tried to coordinate, but the humans had already anticipated this. They split their forces into multiple fronts, forcing the Zorath to divide. Where they expected unity, they found confusion. Where they expected fear, they found determination. Captain Ward led a strike group to the main Zorath fleet's flank. His destroyers darted between massive enemy ships, dodging fire with human ingenuity and the instincts of seasoned pilots. Railguns fired from the shadows of Vorin's moons, hitting command vessels before shields could respond. One after another, Zorath ships exploded in blinding fire. Meanwhile, the UNS Valor deployed a daring maneuver. Hale ordered the flagship to dive into the planet's upper atmosphere, using Vorin's gravity and magnetic fields to boost their weapons. Plasma cannons charged, guided by advanced AI and fired in perfect synchronization. The largest Zorath battleships were torn apart in seconds. Across the galaxy, Coalition leaders watched in awe. They had never believed that such a young species could do this. They had expected gods, ancient powers, or unknown forces. Instead, they found humans, a species small in numbers yet enormous in spirit. Elder Valen spoke quietly to Sari of Nyloria. Do you see them? They are not invincible, yet they fight as though they are. They are teaching us courage, teaching us hope. Perhaps this is what the galaxy has needed all along. On the ground, Vorin's surface was ready for defense, but humans had planned for that as well. Strike teams landed silently, infiltrating Zorath bunkers and disabling shield generators. Entire armies of alien soldiers were outmaneuvered by humans' tactics. They did not fight to destroy every Zorath. They fought to disable, to weaken, to create opportunity for the fleet above. Captain Ward led his team through jagged canyons, coordinating with orbital bombardments. Mines exploded in precise sequences. Communications were jammed and command centers collapsed. The Zorath were forced to retreat from their defensive positions. Everywhere, humans showed that intelligence, courage, and creativity could overcome sheer size and power. For the first time, the Zorath truly feared a species younger than their empire. The final confrontation came above Vorin's largest city. Thousands of ships converged. The humans led a strike through the chaos, cutting through the Zorath formations. Admiral Hale's voice rang through the comms. All units focus on the command vessels. Today we strike at the heart of the Empire. The UNS Valor unleashed everything. Railguns fired, missiles streaked, and fighter swarms darted through the maelstrom. The command ship of the Zorath Emperor shook under the combined assault. Shields flared and cracked. Inside, the Emperor screamed orders, but the humans had anticipated every movement. Captain Ward's squadron made the final push. Guided by AI coordination and human intuition, they struck at the command ship's weak points. Explosions tore through its hull. The Zorath Emperor's throne room was thrown into chaos. The largest armada of the galaxy had been breached by a species thought too small to matter. Then, silence. The Zorath fleets, leaderless and confused, began to scatter. Coalition ships advanced, reclaiming the systems they had lost. Humans moved carefully not to destroy but to secure. Every captured ship was studied, every territory stabilized. Elder Vaylon and Sari of Nyloria stood together in the aftermath. "They have done it," Sari whispered. "They have shattered an empire." Vaylon nodded slowly. "Not just shattered. They have changed the galaxy itself. A new force has emerged." Across the cosmos, news of the victory spread quickly. Worlds that had been slaves of fear for centuries now celebrated. Statues were erected honoring humans. Children sang songs about their courage. Entire fleets of the coalition began adopting human tactics, inspired by their ingenuity and spirit. Even some Zorath commanders who had survived began to whisper, fearful and awed. "They are not gods," one admitted, "but they are something far more dangerous. They are humans. They do not yield. They do not despair. They do not stop." The name human echoed through star systems, spoken with a mixture of fear, respect, and awe. Back aboard the UNS Valor, Admiral Hale looked at the stars. The battle had been won, but the galaxy was not yet at peace. Many systems still required protection, but for the first time humans felt something beyond fear. "We have done more than fight," Hale said to Ward. "We have shown the galaxy that courage, intelligence, and unity matter. That even a young species can shape the destiny of millions of worlds." Captain Ward nodded. "And they will remember that, Admiral. Every species we helped, every fleet we fought beside, they will never forget what humans did." Hale smiled faintly. "Let the galaxy shake then. We will rise to meet it together." In the Zorath Empire, the Emperor's throne was silent. He had lost ships, worlds, and his pride. His empire had survived, but it was forever changed. A new power had emerged, a force no one had anticipated. The galaxy would never see humans the same way again. And somewhere, far beyond the edge of known space, humans continued their work, rebuilding, repairing, training, and preparing for whatever challenges awaited. They had answered a call for aid, and in doing so, they had shaken the galaxy itself. For the first time in countless cycles, the stars seemed alive with possibility. The galaxy had been reminded that courage, ingenuity, and spirit could overcome even the greatest of empires. Humanity had arrived. And the galaxy would never forget it.